Millions of hardworking people wake up every day, clip their coupons, stick to a strict monthly budget, and faithfully stash a little money into a savings account. Even though everyone secretly knows their savings will never truly outpace the rising cost of living. So why do we fiercely cling to a set of financial rules that clearly no longer work? The answer is chilling. The financial advice you were taught was never actually designed to make you rich. It was intentionally designed to keep you as a compliant, highly taxed producer. Think about a normal evening in almost any household. You sit down at the kitchen table after a long day. The glow of your phone screen illuminates a budgeting app. You meticulously track your expenses. You cancel a streaming subscription. You cut back on buying your morning coffee. You look at your spouse and decide to skip a family vacation this year just to be safe. You are doing everything the financial experts on television loudly tell you to do. You work a 40-hour week. You pay your taxes on time. You put your 10% into a traditional retirement fund. You are playing exactly by the rules. But at the end of the year, when you look at your bank balance, you feel a deep, sinking sensation. You feel like you are actually falling further behind. The price of housing is entirely out of reach. The cost of everyday groceries has quietly doubled. The finish line of financial freedom seems to move further away with every passing month. You feel this way because of a massive, foundational misunderstanding. You believe money is a storage of value. You believe that if you hold on to it tightly enough, it will eventually reward you with security. The financial elite know that money is something else entirely. While the working class is trying to trap cash in a bank account, the ultra-wealthy are operating in an entirely different economic reality. They use a completely legal, hidden playbook. And to understand how they seamlessly siphon the value of your labor directly into their portfolios, you have to look at the invisible forces surrounding you. Think about what actually happens when you deposit $1,000 into your local bank. The bank does not take your cash and place it into a secure, dusty vault with your name on it. The moment your money crosses the counter, it is put to work. But it is not working for you. The bank immediately lends your money out. They might lend it to a wealthy real estate developer to build a new luxury apartment complex across town. The bank pays you a tiny fraction of a percent in interest for the privilege of using your money. The developer builds the complex, and then, a few years later, you might end up renting an apartment in that exact same building. Your own carefully saved money was used to finance the asset that you now pay for every single month. You provided the capital. The elite captured the equity. But the real reason this system stays perfectly intact is much stranger. People don't make bad money decisions. They respond to the environment around them. From the moment you enter the education system, you are trained to be an employee. You are taught to trade your precious time for a reliable paycheck. You are conditioned to fear debt. You are told that the safest path in life is to earn a wage, pay your income taxes, and save whatever's left over. This is not an accident. The modern economy requires a massive, steady supply of predictable labor. It needs millions of people who will show up, produce value, and ask very few questions about where that value actually goes. Here's where people are deeply split. Some economists argue this structure is simply the natural, beautiful order of free market capitalism, rightfully rewarding those who take massive financial risks to build society. Others argue the exact opposite. They claim it's a carefully engineered trap designed over decades to guarantee that the working class carries the economic burden of the nation. Whether you believe it's a natural outcome or a deliberate design, the mathematical reality is exactly the same. The rules of money are completely different depending on which game you're playing. Let's look at this identical situation from the perspective of the financial elite. They do not clip coupons. They do not budget tightly to save a few pennies. They do not try to save their way to retirement. Because they understand a fundamental secret about inflation that the working class is explicitly taught to ignore. When inflation hits, the average person panics. The price of gas goes up, the price of food skyrockets. Life gets exponentially harder for anyone living on a fixed salary. But for the wealthy, inflation is not a crisis, it's the ultimate wealth-building mechanism. The working class is terrified of inflation because they hold cash. The elite welcome inflation because they hold assets. They own the grocery store chains, they own the commercial real estate, they own the energy companies and the shipping fleets. As the dollar loses its purchasing power, the numerical value of their physical assets surges upward. They don't have to work harder to become richer. They just have to stand in the right place while the economy rapidly shifts around them. The biggest financial advantage isn't intelligence, it's which game you're playing. The working class is playing a game of accumulation. They are trying to hoard a currency that is intentionally designed by central banks to lose value over time. If you leave money in a savings account, its invisible purchasing power slowly evaporates. The elite are playing a completely different game of debt and asset velocity. They do exactly what you are told never to do. They borrow massive amounts of money. But they do not borrow to buy televisions, luxury clothes, or depreciating cars. They borrow money, often the very savings you deposited in the bank, at a low, fixed interest rate. They use that borrowed money to buy assets that income producing. As inflation naturally rises over the next decade, the massive debt they owe actually becomes cheaper to pay back. The true value of their loan shrinks. Meanwhile, the asset they bought with that loan becomes drastically more valuable. It's a mathematical magic trick. They use other people's money to buy assets that appreciate in a system where inflation does the heavy lifting. And then there is the tax code. The structures of society are built to relentlessly tax the income you make from your physical labor. Every time you clock in, the government takes its massive share before you even see the money. But the tax codes offer massive, completely legal loopholes for the income generated by simply owning assets. The elite can legally borrow cash against the rising value of their real estate, completely tax-free. They can pass massive wealth through complex trusts, legally dodging the exact same system that severely drains the middle class. The pressures of daily life force the working class to spend almost everything they earn just to survive. This creates a permanent, one-way pipeline of wealth. The money you earn is quickly spent on the rent, the groceries, the insurance, and the gas controlled by the elite. Your daily labor is seamlessly converted into their corporate profits. You are literally funding their playbook. When you finally step back and see this invisible architecture, the quiet frustration of the middle class makes perfect sense. You aren't doing anything wrong. You are doing exactly what the system trained you to do. You are functioning perfectly as the reliable engine of someone else's wealth. Wealth is often less about effort and more about position. It's not about how many hours you work or how tightly you can budget your paycheck. It's about where you stand in the constant, flowing river of money. The elite understand that money is not meant to be saved in a stagnant pool. It's meant to be moved, leveraged, and deployed to capture valuable assets. As long as you believe that strictly budgeting your way to wealth is the only viable path, you will remain comfortably trapped in a game you were mathematically designed to lose. The ultimate truth of the modern economy is hidden in plain sight. The rules of money are completely different, depending entirely on which side of the bank you are standing on.